GM. How do I get rid of this fucking thing? Still recording? Yes. GM. So, I'm not at home today and I don't have my mic. So if the sound is a little bit different today, it's because I'm just recording off my computer microphone. Anyway, we'll power through. Sunday, right, not much change in the market, as you'd expect. We've now had our persistent period of spot premium, which obviously we had last back in January. The thing I said that's most important with the spot premium is that price goes up. So price has not gone up since we've had a spot premium. Price has gone down. Spot premium first came in around here, started to develop there, mostly after the drop. And so at best, the spot premium has occurred in a sideways market, right? Because we've gone up a bit, down a bit, up a bit, down a bit. That's in stark contrast to January, where the spot premium increased, right, and became more prevalent as price rose. That was a lot more bullish. So I'm still waiting for something like that, something more like that to occur. And I'm not ready yet to say that this is going to turn around to be a new leg of the bull market. But could this be forming a higher low before a push, even towards 66 or 67? We've had a push down. We've had a second push and a sweep. And we swept that out yesterday on Saturday. Are we going to hold here and make a push up, even just into the highs, or even for beyond the highs, whether it goes down or up thereafter? Possibly. But right now I just see it really simply as being in a range. Clearly resistance up at 67 area, clearly support down at 60k, and we're stuck in the middle. And so Bitcoin can very easily go like that and it means nothing. It can very easily go like that and it means nothing. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the first move of the next week or so. I'd say tonight or even going into tomorrow. You've got a low there and you've got a high there with a terrible straight line. You've got your Saturday low and then you've got your Friday high. Or is it even, no, Thursday's high. So price can take out one or both of those quite easily and just end up back chopping where it is. And I would much prefer, obviously, for it to go down in terms of getting a third push. There's the first one, there's the second one. If we got a third push in reverse, I think that would be close enough to 60 and a third push down. And if that holds, I think that can be a low that takes us towards 70 on a rally, on a bounce. But I see a lot of talk online of people trying to predict the bottom again. People always want to predict bottoms. Say it's the bottom's in, bottom signal, bottom this, bottom that. Cool. Bottom signals were everywhere for months at a time. And they can be. So my views are the exact same. It is, like, if I had to put money on it, which I do because I trade, but bottom signals were clear here. That was a massive liquidation event. Bottom signals were clear here on this retest that held, right? But it didn't actually become tradable bullish again until a month or two later. You know, I've said this all along when people were talking about Bitcoin breaking 60. I was like, it's going to take a lot for it to break 60. I fully expect 60 to hold. But we go back to that thing that I've talked about all week. It's your time frame. It's the time frames you have in mind. Just because Bitcoin holds 60 doesn't mean it has to then moon to 80. And that was what people kept saying on every micro rally. You hear it. People were hyped up here. They were hyped up here on the bounce. They were both super hyped up here. All of that. And all of these came after 60k, right? Touched 60k, moved up. Back down to retest. Up here, we're going break out 80k next. Up here, 80k next. Quick shakeout, that's it, that's all it was. Bitcoin loves war. Right, all this stuff. And it's like people with ETH BTC. It's the same kind of thing. If you just call the bottom long enough on ETH BTC, you'll catch the bottom eventually. But you won't make any money, right? And so speaking of ETH BTC, over the weekend, so on a low volume, low liquidity weekend, ETH BTC has had a move up, and people are getting excited about that. And yet again, people are calling the bottom for ETH BTC for the millionth time. Will they be right this time? Who knows? But I'm certainly not going to sit here and call the bottom on ETH BTC when the daily downtrend is clear, right? 50, 100, 200, your EMAs. 50 is below the 100, which is below the 200. That is a downtrend. It has been in that downtrend since 2022 without ever breaking it. Please understand that it is not, as a trader, right? Don't be philosophical about it or religious about it, but I need to time the bottom. I need to get the ETH rotation. I was like, it's been in a downtrend since this broke over here. So since February of last year, February 2023, it's been in a daily downtrend, right? Where the 50 is below the 100, below the 200 at all times. Every single second, every minute. Never once did the 50 get above the 100, above the 200, so into actual bullish formation. They haven't even got close to crossing, right? We had 50 and 100 flirting with it over here, but the 200 nowhere near. Like, when something flips from a downtrend to an uptrend, you tend to have some chop around those bands as they compress, and then eventually you get into an uptrend where the 50 goes above the 100 and above the 200. And it doesn't end after a day, right? ETH BTC was in a downtrend through all of this, right? If the purple's the lowest, it's a downtrend, yeah? Then we start to see what? Chop. So from January until July, 6 months, it chopped around. This was not an ETH BTC big uptrend. This wasn't ETH outperforming massively. ETH actually peaked in February and underperformed until July. That's 4 or 5 months. But what was happening here was the bands were crossing. The 50 was above the 100, above the 200. And it held, and it held. And then it started to move out of that with them all in line. And then it held that trend, give or take some attempts to cross. It held that trend pretty much all the way until its top in December 2021. Boom. So waiting for them to actually cross and price to hold above it will get you in June 2020 until December 2021. That's 18 months. That's 18 months. But look at what comes before it. Big downtrend, right? Has to trend all the way down, has to consolidate sideways. It went down into final low. It has to go sideways so the bands can start to move towards each other. It then moves up and consolidates so the bands can compress and chop up and down, up and down, up and down. Then eventually it flips them and boom, away we go. We are in the full downtrend phase. Fully downtrend still, even with this Saturday rally on ETH. It's just not an uptrend. So, will ETH outperform Bitcoin? Well, it certainly is at the moment. Could this be yet another bottom for ETH BTC? It absolutely could. It's got the beginning shape, if you take away the indicators and you just look at the shape of this structure. It went below a recent low. It's had a nice reversal back inside, it's consolidated, and it's moving up. And it's trying to break some structure bullishly. That's good signs. Good start. Exactly what you want to see. Same thing happened over here, though, right? Same thing happened over here with a big break, and a nice big reversal, and a held, and it turned out to be nothing. So, again, it's probably easier for me because I don't like Ethereum as an asset. I just prefer Bitcoin. But I'm also not dogmatic. I've said this all along. I've said this literally fucking for 2 years. I will go into ETH when the time is right. And the only right time to go into ETH is when it's outperforming Bitcoin. Otherwise, why don't you just hold Bitcoin? That's my very simple logic. And I don't see it yet, right? I see it as maybe possibly getting close to potentially doing it, but not yet. So, yeah, market-wise, we'll see how it goes. I think when it looks like it might bounce, but then it doesn't actually bounce, and when it's, trying to rally and people are sort of talking a little bit about the bottom again and is it oversold? Are people too bearish? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, now you're clinging on to sort of illiquid weekend pumps as a reason to be bullish on Ethereum when Bitcoin doesn't move based on like DTCC filing by Franklin Templeton. I mean, it's clutching at straws a little bit. And I think it's really simple. You can try and guess the bottom again, or just wait until you actually get confirmation. Because, like I said, we've had a couple of months now, right? We've had almost 2 months of down. And especially in the context of a bull market, once you have that down period that ends, the next up move is going to be significant. So even though Ethereum had a nice move up, the bands are still red. They can and will flip green. And if they flip green and start to trend, it's not like it's going to be here before they flip green. If it goes up, it's going to literally be like there. And the bands will be fully green right at that point. And you can just get long then. And you can have an invalidation below the bands. Because if it's an actual, genuine, new bull market trend, which people want it to be, it's going to look like this. Not going to pull back significantly. It's going to look like this. There's going to be an impulse. And maybe it's going to look like this, where there's one fake out, it comes back down. Cool. But that's also a sign of a bottom, right? And we already had those fake outs where it went red, then green again. People got trapped. Then red, then green again for a day. People got trapped. So people have been trapped a few times, which generally means it's less likely that they're going to be trapped the next time. And there'll be disbelief. There'll be plenty of disbelief if ETH starts to rally here. But I don't see it as rallying just yet. I see this as still a pretty solid distribution structure. Unless it can close strongly above, which it can, but if it closes strongly above 3,400, that would shift things. But it still wouldn't put ETH even close to its breakdown level. Right? There's the last daily high before the breakdown. So, ETH's all right, and you've also got 3580, by the way, which is the key support level on ETH over here. 3580, there we are. Right? 3580, there we go. So you've got big resistance above, you've got a daily breakdown level to reclaim, and the bands aren't green yet. And we're pumping on an illiquid weekend. And I'm like, just, slow your roll a bit. This is a good start, but I see people like already fucking wanting to get max long again. I'm like, is it more likely to go up? Yes, but short term versus is this actually the new trend? So if I was scalping or day trading, not that I do on a weekend. I mentioned it. I think I mentioned this on yesterday's video or Friday's, whatever. Squeezing out people in shorts over the weekend was absolutely the play, because we were quite bearish going into the weekend, right? We had a bearish Wednesday, we had a choppy Thursday, and quite a bearish Friday. So what it's done is it's squeezed everybody out, squeezed out all the bears, shorts, and taking them out over the weekend. Now you need to see, does demand come in behind that? And we'll see how it goes. Maybe there's more good news to come for ETH. One of the things that is worth keeping an eye on, even though this news about Franklin Templeton, it's really not big news, right? It's just a matter of course that whether they get approved or not, it will go on the DTCC register. It's just completely normal, everyday practice. But if the market is performing strong based off of seemingly weak news and it continues to be strong for the days after, that's a good sign, right? If the market can't go down on bad news, that's a good sign. If the market can't go up on good news, that's a bad sign. Yeah, market can't go down on good news. Can't go down on bad news. It's a sign of strength. Market can't go up on bad news. Down. If the market can't go up with good news, it's a bearish signal. So if you get news that shouldn't really be bullish, but ETH just drifts higher, that's good news, right? It shows that it's oversold. And I've no doubt Ethereum's oversold. I've no doubt people are fucking shitting on it and hating on it and dumping it and selling and saying it's going to go to fucking 2200 and all this stuff. And when it's like that, it's not going to go there right away. So this is where you can have your choppy phases. It can even go up. It could even go up to there and down, right? If it was actually going to go to 2400, it could do that. Don't forget. Because it has to move to an area first where people think it's back, right? It's made it, it's strong again, and then all the way back down. You know, this is all part of the reaccumulation process. It takes time. And it looks really good right before it gets really bad. Not that I'm saying Ethereum's going to go below its current lows. I think the first thing to watch for is whatever it does up here, any kind of retest and that holding. And I think that is what then confirms your bottom. You know, some kind of retest of that though. It doesn't have to go lower, right? Anyway, we'll see. And that's all. GM. See you all later.